The greening of Guyana's economy is a goal that serves as a major part of President David Granger's vision for the development of Guyana. This administration is committed to balancing environmental sustainability and economic development so as to ensure that the national patrimony is preserved and economic advancement brings the good life for all Guyanese. On this episode of Government in Action, we examine the long-term development of Guyana's green agenda and the steps that this government is taking to achieve this goal.
But what does a green agenda entail? Guyana's forests cover over 85% of the country's land mass, the second highest percentage forest cover in the world. The country is also seen as a carbon sink, with the ability to sequester more carbon than is emitted by the human activity of its population. But the country's economy is one which is heavily dependent on the agriculture and extractive sectors, which means that the road to a green economy would entail a model that allows the sustainable use of its resources. This model comes in the form of the Green Economy Development Strategy, which aims to transform Guyana into a state that achieves the needed balance of sustainable development.
We are going to transition our economy towards a renewable, clean, and cheaper source of energy. We are going to craft a comprehensive coastal zone management plan to protect human habitation. We are going to craft coastal economic systems and ecosystems. We are going to create green enterprises and jobs. We will inculcate green education in our schools. We are going to adopt a green development strategy.
The strategy involves the promotion of the sustainable exploitation of our natural resources, the establishment of a good solid waste management program, the promotion of sustainable energy through the introduction of solar farms, wind and hydro-powered electricity, the promotion of the ecological integrity of our forests, and the implementation of green technologies. Moves such as the utilization of alternative forms of energy will also lead to the ultimate minimization of dependence on fossil fuels, the imports of which places a significant weight on the country's gross domestic product. The essential idea is that there must be a balance between the conservation and the exploitation of our natural resources, a balance which President Granger has referred to as walking on two legs. The President placed squarely on the international agenda Guyana's value as a green state when he attended the 71st session of the United Nations General Assembly in New York in September.
Guyana is part of this global green movement. Our natural assets, our commitment to sustainable development, our contribution to countering the adverse effects of climate change, and our collaboration with the international community in seeking solutions to global threats have distinguished us as an emergent green state. We are a state that will ensure a secure future for our people in the pursuit of a green economy. We are a state that is proud of its place as a reliable and cooperative partner in the international efforts to protect the Earth's environment.
In fact, Guyana's pledge for a green economy began in 1989 through its grant of 371,000 hectares of forests to be used as an international model for the promotion of the conservation and the sustainable and equitable use of tropical rainforests in a manner that will lead to lasting ecological, economic, and social benefits to the people of Guyana and the wider world. This generous grant is known as the Iracrama International Center for Rainforest Conservation and Development, which is located at the very heart of the country. The President has referred to Iracrama as a prime example of what Guyana has to offer the world in the fight against climate change. At a commemorative tree planting ceremony at Iracrama in honor of National Tree Day at the beginning of October, the President in his address highlighted the vast potential of Guyana's biodiversity, as can be seen through the shining example which is Iracrama.
Iracrama represents the essential environmental services which trees provide. And we provide these services to the entire Earth, not just to Region 8 or Region 9 or Region 10, but to the entire earth, because we're part of the lungs of the earth. We help the earth to breathe. Guyana is what you call a net carbon sink, that we absorb more carbon than we generate. That is why 7 years ago, the Minister of Environment of Norway came here, right here, on the banks of the Essequibo, to sign an agreement. Because many of the industrialized countries generate carbon, which contribute to global warming, and we absorb that carbon. How we absorb that carbon? With trees.
Guyana's agreement with the Kingdom of Norway also serves as testament to its commitment to sustainable development and environmental conservation. The Reducing Emissions from Deforestation and Forest Degradation REDD Plus agreement allows Guyana to demonstrate how the model can be used in a manner that will allow countries to use their forests to combat climate change. Guyana also has environmental agreements with the Kingdom of the Netherlands, the Federal Republic of Germany, the State of Japan, and other states and international organizations in the areas of environmental development. But the President has said that focus must also be placed on the need for collective commitment by the greater part of the international community to collaborate with smaller states such as Guyana so as to continue their pursuit of a low-carbon, low-emission path to sustainable development and to constraining the rise in global temperature. But even as these international partnerships continue to grow, the road to a green economy must be lined with policies and strategies that seek to first manage the environment as a whole. It is in this regard that the President established the Department of Environment, which will oversee the activities of environmental compliance and management, protected areas development and management, national parks management, and wildlife conservation and protection in Guyana. Headed by Advisor on Climate Change at the Ministry of the Presidency, Ms. Ndibi Schweers, the department will be directly responsible for the Environmental Protection Agency, Protected Areas Commission, National Parks Commission, and the Wildlife Division.
The environment has to be perceived as a whole. The environment is a complex, unified, interrelated system. And what has been happening is that the present assignments of various agencies do not necessarily conform to that. Because of that, what we have found is that these agencies tend to operate in silos, or they tend to operate only based on what it is that they are doing. I think it's with this recognition and because of the fact that the President has articulated his strategic vision for the country going along a green pathway that the Department of Environment was set up.
The department will also work closely with other government agencies with an environmental mandate, research agencies, the private sector, civil society, and non-governmental organizations to advance the government's green agenda.
The strategic vision of the President is to ensure that Guyana develops along a green pathway, which will ensure sustainable development for the country. As such, the Department of Environment will work to ensure that the mandate of these agencies are catalyzed to improve national capacity for environmental management.
With its core focus centered on the development of policies and programs that will achieve its mandate, the department will first seek to assess what policies and programs currently exist.
There exists a plethora of policies on the environment. So one of the first things that the department will do would be to ensure that we have an acute understanding of all of these policies, and then to see where gaps lie. As you may know, the environment is always in flux, and because of this reality, our job will be to ensure that we develop policies that are able to keep up with the changing environment. When we are able to do that analysis, then we will be able to develop what we call bridging policies. I also want to add that there are emerging sectors. We have biodiversity tourism, we have the oil and gas sector, for example, we have renewable energy, and our job will also be to proactively define policies to treat with these emerging sectors. So those would be among the first things that we treat with.
With these concomitant measures underway, the achievement of Guyana's green agenda is one that is more than within the country's reach. Most recently, Guyana was one of 197 parties to sign on to the Paris Agreement on Climate Change, which focuses on the mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions as well as adaptations and financing needed to tackle climate change beginning in the year 2020. In keeping with the tenets of the agreement, President Granger has pledged that Guyana will introduce a national emissions reduction program to add 2 million hectares under conservation, among several other initiatives. On a social level, efforts to bring to light the importance of the move toward a green Guyana can be seen through initiatives such as the observance of National Tree Day. The event was launched in October last year by the President and also ushers in the beginning of Agriculture Month. At the inaugural event last year, President Granger highlighted that investing in a green economy will aid in overcoming environmental degradation and economic decline, and that planting trees can contribute significantly to this goal. The President, as mentioned earlier, attended this year's main event at Iwakrama and also participated in tree planting activities at the Fairview Airstrip and the People's National Congress headquarters at Sophia. Minister of Agriculture Mr. Noel Holder, who also attended the events, said that it helps to create awareness to the use of trees in the sustenance of biodiversity.
By proclaiming a National Tree Day, it is our hope to create more awareness about the importance of all types of trees for food, medicinal purposes, fibers for clothing, wood for shelter, inter alia. I urge all Guyanese to commit to planting trees, reducing deforestation with the concomitant effects of reducing poverty and promoting sustainable livelihoods for all dependent on trees.
Minister of State Mr. Joseph Harmon attended a similar activity in the compound of the Department of Public Service in Georgetown. There, the minister explained that Guyana's green agenda is an expanded version of the low-carbon development strategy and will seek to show the world Guyana's potential to collaborate with world partners to tackle climate change.
The National Tree Day forms a part of that strategy to ensure that we have a greener Guyana. And not just only a greener Guyana, but a greener Guyana that can actually help to feed itself. And it's the message that we want to send to the rest of the world, that we take our environment seriously, that we consider the jungles of Guyana, the jungles of Suriname, to be the lung of the world. And so that when we cut the tree, we are cutting down some of our own breathing space. But when we plant a tree, we are increasing the stock of the world.
The President believes that Guyana's green agenda indeed holds the key to environmental sustainability and the economic development of the country. This is Jasmine Payne. Thank you for joining us.